Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in this place. Formerly inmendham. Formerly? Yeah, well, whatever. Me and language. Anyway, I have Googled the word reaction just for fun. Because I figured maybe the conversation should always just go back to this basic natural argument that not only that evolution is mechanical and our function is just basically Tyrannosaurus is singing and dancing, crocodile singing and dancing. We're just badly designed, selfish organisms. We do have a selfish genes, so to speak. And I'm saying so to speak because people don't understand. I'm not saying they're selfish. I'm saying the byproduct of the function is to create a pretty much a highly individualistically motivated organism that will team play when it's on the right team. When the team is doing what it wants, then it plays. When the team doesn't, it doesn't play. That kind of thing. But it's a selfish gene. Not a good thing. You don't buy any. Don't buy any of that either. Yeah, that doesn't do anybody any good. So, continuing where I left off. This is a mechanical system. The evolution's mechanical, and the universe is mechanical. And in a sense, there's no actions. There's just reactions to the previous condition. The previous condition dictates the next condition, which dictates the next condition. Cause and effect. And I've heard cause and effect forever, from my perspective, the forever of my 59 years, and never really took it too seriously. You'd say, yes, of course, causes and effects. But that's sort of doing the philosophy thing, is taking simple things that you thought were simple, and you say, wait a minute, it's not that simple. Because what does that mean? It means I'm entirely byproduct. Everything I am because of you assholes, frankly. That includes the people that I've actually met, and people who did good things, people who did bad things. All of it is what I byproduct of. So anything I do that's good or bad, frankly, I didn't have anything to do with it. It's just, there's nothing original in me. I'm just all absorptions and reflections. Absorptions and reflections. So this sort of gets to the physics argument, which is interesting. And so I do have a physics channel for any of the people who don't know. Draft Science on YouTube, and challenging the whole religion that is science today. And that sort of gets back to the philosophical subject, because this is sort of an argument I'm making, is that most of these people, philosophically, they think they're atheists, but they're really not, because they don't take responsibility for what evolution really is, and what the byproduct is, the human piece of shit. But all the animals are a piece of shit. All they can do is be pretty. Like a little pretty woman there. And that charms us, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any substance. It's when you really scratch at that, superficial, meaningless in a truth term, or yes, in some meaningful way, meaningless. Yeah, so it does get interesting, because you don't think of philosophy as a science. And I keep making this argument that that's exactly what it is. We're just really saying what's the truth. Whether you're doing physics or chemistry or biology or philosophy, the challenge is make truth statements. accurately describe the reality. That's the objective of the science. And there's obvious ways you do that, is in the sense that, yes, evidence helps. Having some facts to put together means you can put more facts together and make more facts, and then put those facts together and make more facts. But that's where it all goes wrong, right? Because people put as facts stupid things like, oh, nature's fun, a circle of life, some sort of horse shit to sit there and evade the subject, and pretend, oh, it isn't so bad, it's not a meat grinder, when of course everything that comes out of it eventually is ground beef. I mean, it's just ground meat. We're all ground in the end. And all these people who haven't been ground yet are pretending it's okay. Like, if being ground up is fun. You know, they're just so full of shit, you know, which all the food turns into, right? I mean, see, this isn't all that hard. You just take some of these words seriously and you find out, oh yeah, this is just so fucked up. You know, that, you know, every single thing that's a piece of pop culture is a pile of shit. So anyway, so all these people who are defending life are no better than the assholes against abortion or something, the pro-lifers. So in a sense, you're either an anti-natalist, you're either a rational person who says, oh fuck, you just don't play with this mess, this garbage. You don't make it, because it does violence to the innocent, so to speak. It reacts and creates horror and destruction and doom for many conscious feeling things, and it's just stupid to make that. So yeah, so they're really just religious kooks. They're just pro-lifers. No better. The logic's no better. There's just no way to defend something that creates so many bad outcomes. And even the, like I stated, the good outcomes are often bad outcomes. You know, you can find hunks of people's lives where the economics is completely broken, where they'd say, oh yeah, well that certainly wasn't worth it. That was 10 years I spent, you know, homeless and ruined because, you know, my wife, you know, whatever, tragically hemorrhaged during my first child's stillbirth or something. You know, some horrible story. And everybody probably can find some piece of their life that, no, I ain't redoing that. If that's part of the bargain, I ain't coming back. I ain't doing that again. And it's just because they've already done it that they say, well, so what? You know, who cares? I don't got to pay for it tomorrow. You know, the money you lost 10 years ago isn't going to mean too much to you. Because, yeah, I can't go back and redo it, so you just kind of eliminate it as a bad. And so most of the bad stuff in people's lives they just ignore because, well, can't do anything about it and it's over and I don't have to do it tomorrow. But if they had to do it tomorrow, they might want to make a different bargain. They might want to say, yeah, maybe I'll just stay on the never, just don't play bench. I'm better off on the bench than going through that shit again. And again, so this is just making the argument that you could probably find pieces of your own life, and if you can't, it's just not that hard to realize how lucky you are that as the little corner of the universe you're reacting in didn't get radiated as hard. You weren't born in poverty, or you weren't subjected to innate diseases, or you didn't get polio, and you didn't have this or that or whatever the crap is. So in some way you were very fortunate, and you should be able to appreciate that. I mean, and see what I'm reacting. See, these are all just reactions. So I'm the universe reacting, you're the universe reacting, and the two reactions are sitting here basically arguing about semantics in some sense, but you know, semantics in the sense that, do these words have any meaning? Do you understand the concept of meat grinder? Do you understand the concept that you can't impose on other people? unless you're sure it's for the good. That you don't, you don't subject somebody to torture for your benefit. I mean, little simple things like that. Can you figure that crap out? Of course you can. And so I'm the universe reacting, saying, well, how come there's no appearance that you can figure it out? I mean, it's not that complicated. I've spelled it all out for you. What's your problem? Why are you playing this game like you can't understand that, oh yeah, the system's basically wrong, and there's no UFOs coming to the rescue? I mean, people are just nuts. They just keep wishing and hoping. Oh, I should scroll through some of these stupid images. Anyone else notice how Google's just gotten more and more evil? I mean, they segregate everything now into categories. I mean, it's just not a search engine anymore. They really are forcing you to see what they want you to see, and they do it on the regular indexing pages now. They're taking clips from websites and like presenting them in a Google window as if you're at Amazon or as if you're at some other website and you're not at their website. I mean, it's really sinister, and they just get away with this shit. It's just horrible. It's just horrible. It is. Shit. They just shouldn't. This is. They are evil. They're so fucking evil. Anyway, the whole way they manipulate and pretend, and they're just so watching you. I mean, every single thing you click on the internet, and they sit there, and it ends up as advertisements. It ends up in the recommended. It ends up all over the place. It's just sinisterly bad. This isn't what we're fucking. This isn't. See, but this is part of the deal, right? If people knew ahead of time that Google was going to act just like Microsoft, even worse, actually, worse than Microsoft, they wouldn't have bought it. But now that they have it, and it's, well, we don't want to sit there and stop whatever that is, because somehow like Google represents freedom or something. Like somehow it's the good guys, so we have to defend it. But if you know ahead of time the game played, you'd say, no, let's not give them this power. No. Let's not be duped, by this, whatever, James Foster Kane. What the hell was his name? Anyway, this is Borg all over the place. This is a monopoly. And it did it right from the start. It manipulated everybody by giving it away for free and looking so, oh, we're just so good for all the human beings. And, we all should have known that. Well, I knew it was a lie. I mean, nobody gives anything away for free, So they give it away for free for 2 years to destroy every other competitive alternative. Because obviously businesses that have to pay employees and do all that crap by making money, they can't do it if they got to compete with somebody who gives away the stuff for free. If you're in the Apple business and I decide to sell apples for 2 years for free, you're not going to be able, unless you've saved a bunch of money, you're not going to be able to survive me as competition, because I'm just going to wipe you out. But you're going to have to lower your prices below being able to pay your employees. It's that simple. And that's all Google did. It just wiped out all the competition so it could own the territory, and it was clearly planned from the very beginning by sinister cunts. But that's part of the reaction of this universe. This universe is full of, these human beings are selfish assholes, cunts, looking to be billionaires, looking for a way to take advantage, and they do it because they think it's for the glory of some kind of, I proved myself superior by duping my fellow humans. But it's, again, I've made these analogies. It's like, again, the glorification of sport, and how people just fall right into it because they're addicted to the little soap operas, and they don't recognize just how totally destructive all this pointlessly useless competition to do pointlessly useless things like hit baseballs over fences or put balls in hoops or in goals or some other crap. and it just is absolutely useless competition. We glorify these heroes, and it's like, for what? You know, they didn't cure anything, they didn't fix anything, they didn't engineer anything, they didn't do a motherfucking useful thing for humanity. And somehow this system, the reaction of our culture, is to defend it, to find some silly excuses, like somehow this is the way it should be, when no, obviously we should be glorifying people who you know, figure out, you know, some lineman or some Verizon employee figures out how to double everybody's internet speed, you know, without you know, just for free almost, because of just a technical, you know, change. Those are the kind of people that should be glorified. Those are the people we should be incentivizing, not a bunch of assholes doing shit nobody could possibly gain anything from. I mean, just stupid stuff. How high can you jump? You know, how fast can you itch your foot? I mean, it's just, what? It's just so stupid. So again, but this is our universe reacting. So through all the reactions, billions of years of this stuff just going through the process of cause and effect, and this is the present effect, and it's has every appearance of being totally fucktarded, and you sit here and say, well, it shouldn't be. You know, because just saying the cause and effect chain, the evolution, the better thing should win. The better meme should, you know, manage to get itself to the top. And I've sort of pointed this out before, but, you know, it's not, you know, it's fat that floats to the surface, not necessarily the best, the cream. It's the same difference. It is fat, but I'm just saying it's fat. Okay, it's not the coolest stuff. It's the, you know, the sludge. Bad analogy because the sludge sinks, but anyway, the scum. There you go. Scum floats. And the scum makes it to the top in the systems because of, and there's reasons, you know, it's cause and effect, so you can find the causes and the effects, and it's because humans have this silly optimism bias. They're clannish, you know, they want to defend the group. It's us against them, and so then they make everything black and white, and it's not, it's a color world, and, you know, so they get so much wrong, and they just become robots for stupid causes. Well, we're already robots, so they can't become a robot because they're already a robot. So this is where our language is just so, you know, once you do this, well, let's be scientific about how we communicate. You know, let's take words seriously. Once you take words seriously, a lot of them you just can't use anymore, because they are so irrationally defined, so inconsistently defined, and so it becomes more and more difficult to explain something because all the common words are broken, and you can't just use a word to describe it. You have to sit there and explain it, so you have to spend a bunch of extra words to try to cleanse your concept of any misunderstanding, because the words are so bad at conveying a consistent understanding. So anyway, so see here, there's action and reaction. Now it's just reaction and reaction and reaction and reaction and reaction and reaction and reaction. There just isn't any action anywhere. It's all reactions. And so the conversation is just how should we react to the facts that exist. And the plea being made, just because it's so logically obvious, is that your reaction shouldn't be pointless defending of crap. Just because you're addicted to it, you shouldn't defend, like, meat eating, for example. So fine, you like eating meat, you've always eaten meat, you feel great, it's done you nothing but good. You could still logically understand, yeah, but if I was to make a perfect human, why would I make it dependent on doing that, right? Of course I'd make it capable of surviving on vegetables and stuff like that. It just makes sense to make it more efficient. It doesn't have to rip anything's hide off and prepare its flesh and do all the, well, it doesn't have to do any of that extra crap. So it sort of makes sense. Better for the environment, better for the organism, all that kind of crap. So yeah, why, if you had the two choices to be, if you're creating, why would you create dependencies like that? That's like making something heroin addicted or something. Why would you do that? It's stupid. If you were God. So the same thing is with these rationalizations. Why make excuses and pretend? You want to say you don't give a shit? Fine, say you don't give a shit. Say you don't care about the environmental costs or the personal costs to individual sentient organisms who are created, exploited, tortured, and killed for the purpose of this addiction, this fetish you have. It's like making somebody. It's like making somebody retarded or giving somebody a psychiatric disorder on purpose. I mean, just why would you do that? It's really stupid. If you're trying to be a good robot maker, if you're going to make a robot, why would you make it dependent on something inefficient? You'd make it as efficient as possible. But people just keep pretending, because they have this. They're it's just fat people glorifying fatness. Silly things like that. There's just no reason to just admit, well, yeah, I ate too much 3 years ago, and I obviously haven't gotten over it. Because I'm not trying to make light of it, but I mean, see, people have this idea that fat people are just getting fatter and fatter. No, most fat people just had a guy got fat 10 years ago, and I just never got unfat. So it's like they're not really getting any fatter. They're not really consuming too much. They're not eating too much. Not doing any of that stuff. But it doesn't do any good to to eat a sustaining diet. It doesn't do you any good if you're sustaining the wrong weight. So obviously you have to lose the weight, and then you can go back to eating normal again. But you always have to make sure you don't do that extra bit again. I didn't say that very perfectly, but the whole point is that if you're not getting heavier, it's not like you're eating too much, right? Because you're just eating enough to keep yourself where you are. So we just have this impression that fat people are eating too much, but they're really not. They ate too much, 2 years ago or 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And they just didn't go through the inconvenience of eating too little to lose it. And that's all. Anyway, so I'm just saying the truth is not what people see. It's not how they think. It's not what they just don't care enough about the truth. And I guess that's what these are all kind of disgusting. So these are all reactions like allergies and stuff, I guess so. But all part of the charm of life, right? I mean, people are killed by peanuts. I mean, just silly things. If it was your kid killed by a peanut, you'd realize, oh, this is too silly. It's just too silly a game to be playing. But those same people who watch their kid die from eating a peanut will sit there and somehow, oh, I can't wait till I have grandchildren. Oh, that's right, my kids are dead, so I can't have them. Some kind of stupid thing. They'll sit there and suggest to other people that somehow they should go ahead and make kids who will die eating a peanut. Take the chance with, of ruining somebody. And this is just, these are just allergies. Just imagine, there's all these other crap out there, all the cancers and the other crap, and oh man, it's nasty. And there's nothing to defend here. And for what? Like I said, and what do we have for all of this? So again, our culture is much like the things that glorifies, like the Olympics. All the Olympic events, nothing is accomplished, just totally useless. So all the failures, all the broken backs, all the death, I mean, it does actually kill people trying to be Olympic heroes. They die. But all the disabilities, all the ruined lives because, oh, I failed. I spent my whole life trying to be the best at something and I didn't do it. And so now I'll just spend the rest of my life moping about my failure. I mean, all the psychological damage done to millions of little kids and all the rest of it. All of that. For what fucking benefit? There's just nothing. There's just nothing. The events are stupid. And so you do all of this suffering and all this torturing, all these, there's so many people. I mean, obviously there's subscribers, a lot of them to my channel, unfortunately, who have real psychiatric issues, real problems, real just getting through their day without their brain getting them into huge amounts of trouble. And, that's the horrible price paid for what? So people can sit and watch frickin' TV commercials. It's just so bad. I don't even know how people do that stuff. I mean, I don't know how anybody listens to radio. I mean, it's everything. Every word that comes out of there, anything, it's just all, you can see somebody's paid them to say that and say that, and everything is connected to some sort of commercial. It's just so bad. So again, so this, I'm just the universe reacting, this little corner of it, and it's reacting because it's gone through a procedure of playing the game, and it's ordered, and categorized some facts, and so it's drawn some conclusions based on its life experience. It's what it's gained out of this slop, and trying to engineer it, and trying to fit it into place and make it make sense. And he found it couldn't make sense. And then he found that, well, this is kind of important that we're playing a game that doesn't make sense. Somebody ought to talk about the fact that this doesn't make any sense. Why is everybody so damn fucking pro-life when it doesn't make any fucking sense? It's a huge waste engine. And it just really has no hope of being productive because it's stupid. It's a circular game. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any function. It's superfluous part. It's an appendix. It just goes septic, and or else it just sits there and does absolutely nothing useful. And that's what life is. Life is just, it either goes septic or it's lucky enough just to sit there and be a useless sack of shit. Meaningless in any, substantial way. So, why defend it? You don't need to defend it. It's just not necessary. Just admit the truth, that you're playing because you're excited by it, you find it challenging, you find it interesting, fine. It doesn't distract, you're not distracted by the high price paid and the waste. That's okay, you don't have to be. You don't have to be emotionally tied to any of that shit. But don't pretend that because you're glib, that glib is smart, or glib is right, or glib is the sensible reaction. If you're going to recognize the value is real. So you can't feel their pain, you can't feel their reaction, you can't feel their death from peanuts, you don't feel it, and so it doesn't mean anything to you. Fine, you should still be able to understand that, well, yeah, if it's true that consciousness is consciousness is consciousness, and broken leg is broken leg and broken leg, I should be smart enough to figure out that, well, just because all the broken legs are happening to somebody else, it doesn't mean I can say broken legs are easy and they're fun, because I don't feel a thing. Yeah, you don't have a broken leg. Yeah. Duh. So, yeah, so I've been over this before, obviously. That's part of what it takes in terms of having a reaction, is that you do have to be redundant and repetitive, and you have to play a little bit of this game of getting to these psychologies that have been built by these memes and cultures, and there's a certain technique to deprogramming people, and part of the deprogramming process is, you know, redundantly going over the facts and trying to emphasize the points so they finally leak into the brains and blah 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 blah. So I can't rationally say, oh, it's stupid to keep saying the same shit in different ways, because it seems like, no, that's probably the smart thing to do if you want to have an effect. You got to work for it. You got to work at it. You got to keep hammering the nail until the nail's in the fucking wood. Anyway, so do I have to say anything else? Maybe I can just get away with a short video today. Sorry, I mean, I do want to spend more time organizing thoughts and expressing these necessary opinions in a more focused and powerful way. It's just that I'm human and I'm distracted by my own personal condition, and you know, the sun comes out, I want to go sit in it. You know, and I don't want to think about shitty stuff, depressing things. I don't want to work, you know. So, you know, my failure as a robot, I'm not, you know, I could be more optimally programmed. What is that? It's like Jeremiah Johnson or something. Strange reaction. You know, you say, why the fuck's it in this? But anyway, hey, yeah. So anyway, so yes, so there's no, you're just part of a machine, and you just sort of have to recognize that your personal stake isn't really all that personal. I mean, beyond what you feel, you know, the rest of it is kind of, you're just a byproduct, your philosophy. So don't take it too seriously. And I'm only suggesting that to you because you're fucking wrong. I mean, you know, you're defending shit, and you know, you're kind of embarrassing your intelligence if you're a pro-lifer. You really are. You're just embarrassing your brain because it's performing so badly that it can't see that wasted torture is just not acceptable. You just can't waste it. You just have to, you know, it's a zero tolerance thing. It's just not acceptable. It's not a good enough. And the performance of the biological organisms on planet Earth, it's not good enough. It's not a defendable system. The failure rate is way too high. Too many clunkers are coming off the assembly line. But that's because it's been designed to do it that way. It has been designed, its design doesn't give a shit about attrition and waste. And as a logical thing who understands that there's value at stake, that's not an acceptable method of production. You can't have an assembly line where you don't care about quality. You know, 1 in a million is okay. Oh, we have 1 winner in a million. Good enough? Not good enough. Oy. Ah. Anyway, and that's all. I don't get to hit any more buttons. I want more, Google. Won't give me no more. Cunt. Anyway, Anyway, yeah, don't buy anyway, don't buy, just useless. So it's got to go too. I have to come up with better I'm thinking, so give me a minute phrases or gestures. See, that's no good either. But that's no good either. Nothing. Oh, nothing's no good. You can't just do nothing. Okay. Okay. No, it's not okay. Fuck you. This is how difficult this is. You know, when you have to do all these refining of your composition, you know, then you end up with a bunch of slow brush strokes and oh fuck, you can't do it slow, you gotta do it smooth. And so, you know, see, that's the thing, when you try to do it on purpose, it sometimes is the worst way to do it, because too much jitter gets in there, too much of your nervous energy breaks the game. So you have to make it just kind of fly, you know, it's got to just kind of soar, you know, in a clean air, no turbulence. And so there's, you know, it's work to do that, I think, to have yourself mentally prepared. Yeah, you have to be mentally prepared to make a proper video. See, everything is just so much more complicated than what people want it to be. It just, the fundamental truth is dirt simple, and then they want to, you know, and then they, but the problem is they just put a bunch of fake notions as descriptions, and it's just so much, it's so difficult to get rid of all that bad vocabulary. I guess that's the key to it. All these wrong ways of doing it. And to start over and retrain yourself. I guess that's kind of how to think about it, is that you have a way of writing or holding a pencil. You know, like say the way you write, it's made out of a whole bunch of stages. And if you had to redo all those stages, you know, it's a lot of work, like how to hold it, and you know, all the movements, the whole, you know, the style of it. To remake a style is a lot of work. And in a sense, our style of interacting, our style of being human, we were so poorly trained that we are completely incapable of, you know, we're all horrible at it, because it was never done rationally or scientifically or by the book. There's no book. Well, if there is a book, it was never read by anybody. So we're stuck with a bunch of artifacts in our function, in our personality, in how we interact in the world. And you can sort of see that because, you know, it's so difficult to, you know, I watched the neighborhood here a bit, and from my porch, and you know, you see it going by and things happening, and you know, but people don't, you know, there's no, nobody knows anybody. Nobody really I can't say they're not interested, that's not the right word, but there's no function. There's no functional way for even a street for the people to organize and to understand we're a street and we have to protect our rights and we have to do this, and there's just no, you know, connection. Nothing's connected. Nothing is color coordinated. I mean, everybody's showing up to the party in a different costume, and you know, there's no theme. There's no, the whole thing is just crap. You know, and people live next to each other for 50 years and they don't even know each other. I mean, it's amazingly dysfunctional. In just those little ways, and that's all just part of the style of how we've been grown into being human on Earth. So much paranoia and so much hostility under the surface. You know, so much of this, what's to my advantage, and apparently it's to everybody's advantage to be some anonymous coward on, you know, like the trolls on the internet. It's like everybody's selling these VPNs to mask your presence on the internet, and everybody's think, oh yeah, I'm doing it to defend myself from the spammers and the evil. And now most of the people doing it are doing it to protect themselves from accountability, so that they can be in private somebody different than they are in public. So they can play games, so they can manipulate others, or skirt the rules or whatever. But they, oh no, it's like the gun owners. Oh yeah, it's a self-defense. No, it's your I need power weapon. I want control. It's an act of aggression. Not an act of defense. But anyway, I don't want to get into political subjects and whatnot. But so yeah, we'll keep this one to a moderate scope. I don't know how long it was. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I know I have an idea. Somewhere between, let's say, 30 minutes. Probably somewhere in the 30-somethings. But anyway, see, all that crap is just all part of it's just evidence of our dysfunction. We were never meant to be smart and functional. In terms of how we're raised, we're just meant to be functional in the sense of taking advantage and controlling and manipulating and scheming. We weren't here to, people aren't trained to defend and explain. They're, trained to evade having to explain anything or defend anything. And to change the subject. As soon as some finger gets pointed at them, they just, but he did it. But they're doing this. They're a lot worse. Two wrongs make a right. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, see, I'm just keep it all. It's all made out of whatever 100 colors. So, and you can find the colors in everything you're doing. You can say, oh, there's that weird yellow color again. I mean, in terms of concepts. So, and I'm just personally very aware of that now, just how broken communication is and vocabulary. So now I'm being triggered. I'm reacting. So every time I hear certain words, even in my own sentences, I'm saying, well, we have to correct that. We have to correct. I just did it in this video, right? I overtly heard myself pause or do some stupid thing between sentences and say, that's just waste, that's garbage, that shouldn't be in there. That's breaking the communication process. And the same thing's happening in terms of my sentence structure and vocabulary I use, and I'm all the time seeing the flaws and the insufficiencies in getting this to be in a form that hits another person and they say, okay, I get it, I can't argue with that, yes, you're right. I concede. So this is like just being a professional anything. So now I'm back to the sports analogy. You want to be good at it, you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to practice. Learn the moves. Learn the techniques. Blah, 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 blah. Which I'm totally uninterested in doing. But my brain's doing it anyway. I don't really have an interest in doing that. But my brain knows that's something you have to do, and it's already doing it, whether I like it or not. The engine of logical necessity is sitting somewhere in my subconscious saying, can't evade that one. Okay, so that's enough of a video. So, till the next time, when again I will attempt communication and to explain a rather simple theme that even if you're having so much fun here on Earth, and it's just such a great time, you should be able to understand that if it wasn't, you wouldn't think it was a great idea either. Come on, just admit it. That you only think it's a great idea because you're having a great time. If you went to the party and you had a migraine headache, you wouldn't say, "Oh, the party was great." You wouldn't just lie. But if you feel great and you scored with some chicks and you had some fun, of course you're going to say, "Yeah, it's a great game, great party." It's that obvious. And you should be able to figure out that, okay, yes, if I got the worst of it, I wouldn't be selling this pile of shit. And it's only because I didn't get the worst of it, or I think I'm immune, like somehow all that stuff happens to thems, all those weird, horrible diseases and all those reactions and all that crap and all that stuff and humiliation and pain and death. Oh, that happens to the suckers. It's not going to happen to me. There are people who are walking around thinking that way. Oh no, everything's going to be just fine. I've read it in a book. It's all happily ever after. That's what'll happen to me. I'll get married and have kids and it'll be happily ever after. No, it won't. You really aren't that stupid, are you? Come on. Are you really still defending that? Shit. So I will conclude this video now, and in this awkward manner of being way too self-conscious, and so there's going to be a lot of jitter in my painting, in the ending, just because I'm a little too focused on the detail. Focused on the process. I am just thinking too much about how to do it. Oh, fuck. That's bad. Ooh, very bad. Yep. Come on, computer, don't fuck with me now. Please don't do it. Alright, just hit the Control R or something. Get the hell out of here. I knew I shouldn't have done an update before the video. It's too fucking stupid. Shit. It's back. Let's see if it's going to be a playable video. Let's see if it's going to be a playable video.